The Weekly Podioplex will begin after this short podcasting promotional.
So, you don't like Mondays? Well, you can either shoot some kids and have Bob Geldof write a song about you, or, preferably, you can listen to the Cinefantastique podcast. We'll bring you up-to-date news from the worlds of science fiction, fantasy, and horror film, as well as frank, no-holds-barred discussions of the newest releases. That's the Cinefantastique podcast, the podcast with a sense of wonder, every Monday on iTunes, cinefantastiqueonline.com, and the Huffington Post. Really, put down the gun.
Come ahead! Quiet on the set!
This is Michael Faulkner, and it's showtime at the April 17th, 2012 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Starting out with the box office report, this weekend's countdown kicks off with number 10 and Dr. Seuss's The Lorax, down 3 spots from 7th. In 9th is new release Lockout, premiering with $6.2 million. At number 8 is 21 Jump Street, down 2 from 6th. In 7th place is Mirror Mirror, down 2 from 5th. And in 6th place is Wrath of the Titans, slipping 2 from 4th. At 5th place, we have American Reunion, falling 3 from 2nd with an additional $10.5 million for a new total of $39.7 million. In 4th place is a 3D re-release of Titanic, adding another $11.9 million to a total of $44.7 million. In 3rd place is new release The Cabin in the Woods, debuting at $14.7 million. That's kind of bad in comparison to some of Lionsgate's non-supernatural horror movies like the Saw series, My Bloody Valentine 3D, and the first Hostel movie. Though in general, it's not that bad. Among horror comedies, the debut is 7th all-time behind the 4th Scary Movie flicks Ghostbusters 2 and Zombieland. It's also holding a 7.9 out of 10 on Internet Movie Database. In 2nd is new release The Three Stooges, nuking their way into theaters with $17 million. In major TV adaptions, it's a little off. Get Smart pulled in $38.7 million, and Bewitched pulled in $20.1 million. It did open 3 times higher than The Honeymooners, though, and it wasn't far behind The Lamb of the Lost, disappointing $18.8 million. It was also the best debut for the Farrelly brothers in over 10 years, and 3rd highest ever behind Me, Myself, and Irene's $24.4 million, and Shallow Hal's $22.5 million. Holding on to first place for the 4th week in a row is The Hunger Games, adding $21.1 million to a new total of $336.7 million. This is the first movie to take the top spot for 4 weekends in a row since Avatar in January of 2010. Closing out the box office report, let's take a look at what was winning in the box office in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2007, Disturbia held the number 1 spot for a second week with $13 million. 10 years ago in 2002, The Scorpion King took number 1 with $36.1 million. The Scorpion King broke The Matrix's $27.8 million record for the highest weekend debut in April. 20 years ago in 1992, Basic Instinct returned to number 1 with $6.7 million, reclaiming the top spot after 5 weeks in release. 30 years ago in 1982, Porky's hit its 6th week at number 1 with $5.3 million, and 40 years ago in 1972, The Godfather was in its 5th week at number 1 at $5.2 million. The new releases for the week of April 20th hope the odds are ever in their favor, starting with The Lucky One, a drama starring Zac Efron, Taylor Schilling, and Blythe Danner.
It was in the morning, after a night raid. I just found it. In a war, finding something like that, it's like finding an angel in hell.
Things like this don't just happen. I say you over.
The Lucky One was a very special novel for me to write because I think Logan is a different character than I've ever created before. He is your very typical, strong, silent type, and yet he's very loyal, and he is being driven by compulsion, you might say, to find this person.
Ultimately, he does indirectly owe her his life. He just knows deep down in his heart that his next mission is to find this girl and to thank her.
I'm Beth.
Logan.
What brings you to Hamden?
It's kind of a long story. Look, I found this.
You saw the ad. Help, Logan. That's the job. We just need some help.
Can I borrow your pen?
Logan gets back and he doesn't know what to do. This picture, maybe it saved me. I don't know. He's basically in a let's go find out where life takes me phase.
Can you believe that he got that whole thing going?
This guy shows up and he's offering her support and a presence in her life that she hasn't had before.
Well, that's as clean as it'll ever be. I play a woman who very much believes that this is destiny for Logan to come into our lives.
You think I don't know what's going on around here?
You don't have a say anymore.
Hey, that's my son in there, too, you know.
Go over my arm.
You should do as she says.
They're just overcoming these obstacles, and it takes time, as it often does in the real world, for people to first become friends, and then to trust each other, and then to fall in love. And this is a film that portrays that realistic journey toward a strong relationship very faithfully.
You don't know what I'm dealing with.
I do know that you deserve better than this.
You stay the hell out of my life.
Tell me what you want to hear. Something that'll light those years.
Where did you get that?
Your boy Logan had it.
How do you explain something
That you can't even understand yourself. When I was first reading the script, I heard from a lot of people who were like, oh man, that's my favorite book.
I fell in love with Nicholas Sparks' books when I first read The Notebook. When you read the books or you see the movies, you think, you know, that could happen to me, or I wish that would happen to me.
The premise of The Lucky One was what drew me in, the idea that a chance event could change not only Logan's life, but the lives of the others that he came into contact with.
I think he was meant to find that photo. I think it happened for a reason.
It's destiny, I think. I think that's what you hope that love is destiny.
Why did you come here?
To find you.
A Marine travels to North Carolina after serving 3 tours in Iraq and searches for the unknown woman he believes was his good luck charm during the war. The Lucky One is rated PG-13. Next on our list is Think Like a Man, a comedy starring Chris Brown, Gabrielle Union, and Kevin Hart.
Jay, you're losing the games for us. You're not even using the picks. You shot 1 for 27. I'm not the one that's not coming off the picks.
Y'all done here? We want to play some full court.
Oh, yeah, we're good. No, we're not. Y'all want the court? You play for the court. That's what real men do.
So y'all want to play for it?
Am I stuttering? You're not going to punk us. I'm not serious. I am serious. People come in here and they think they got us. Y'all don't have nothing.
Aww. This spring.
Babe, I got us lattes. I'll be right back.
I'll be right here.
Ah, you were an animal last night. So, babe, I was thinking we could go on our first real date.
Yeah, babe. We should do that.
Yes. No, he didn't. He took my coffee.
Guys, happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. And you too, Mom.
I'm just gonna leave you two alone.
I'll call you.
Or not.
We'll be guys.
Sally's slammed. Go park some cars.
Whoa, she's so sweet to the eye. She walked right by with her nose in the sky. That's my car. She don't even know who I am.
Okay, where's the window?
The Dark Knight strikes again.
But women have had enough.
What is the problem with men of this generation?
Ladies, till you understand the mindset of a man, you are never going to win in the game of love.
Act like a lady, but think like a man.
Now one book is changing the game.
What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? What are your views on relationships?
Who are you, Oprah?
I could use a nightcap. She has this 5-date rule before I get invited up.
We like friends without benefits.
She thinks I'm a chef on the rise. She's going to run when I tell her the truth. I'm totally screwed. Mom, what is this? It's the new read from my book club. Family Feud, Steve Harvey? You doing something to bust like that? This man is a traitor. They know all of our maneuvers. This is war, gentlemen. We use his words to get what we want. Hey, Mike, how old is your mom? What? I'm not saying it like that. I am. It's like that. Miss Loretta, I'm ready for the rest of the tour.
Now, when the truth comes out,
He's a part-time waiter. There's no such thing as a perfect man.
the game is on.
Only women I want to talk to tonight are dancing naked down to the butt factory. I need to be held. I need you to rub my back. Put me in my onesie. Whatever you need to do, baby, I'm yours. Yes, I can. Doubt better leave. I run with this plan. Pull me, grab me, grab from the bucket game. I have to show I'm a guy with potential. Sweet. Where's you? Damn, look how small your skirt is. Woo!
Think like a man.
4 friends conspire to turn the tables on their women when they discover the ladies have been using Steve Harvey's relationship advice against them. Think Like a Man is rated PG-13. Next up, we have Chimpanzee, a documentary starring Tim Allen. A 3-year-old chimpanzee is separated from his troop and then is adopted by a fully grown male. Chimpanzee is rated G. And last on the wide release list is To the Arctic 3D, a documentary starring Meryl Streep. To the Arctic 3D is a journey into the lives of a mother polar bear and her 2 7-month-old cubs as they navigate the changing Arctic wilderness they call home. To the Arctic 3D is rated G. This week's limited release slate begins with Darling Companion, a drama starring Diane Keaton, Kevin Kline, and Deanne West. Darling Companion is the story of a woman who loves her dog more than her husband. And then her husband loses the dog. Darling Companion is rated PG. Next on the list is The Moth Diaries, a horror film starring Sarah Bolger, Sarah Gadon, and Lily Cole. Rebecca is suspicious of Ernessa, the new arrival at her boarding school. But is Rebecca just jealous of Ernessa's bond with Lucy, or does the new girl truly possess a dark secret? The Moth Diaries is rated R. And the last release coming to theaters this week is Marley, a documentary starring Bob Marley, Ziggy Marley, and Jimmy Cliff. Marley is a documentary on the life, music, and legacy of Bob Marley, and is rated PG-13. Moving right along to the home entertainment slate, we start with the new releases for the week of April 17th, and that starts with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, an action film starring Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, and Simon Pegg. The IMF is shut down when it's implicated in the bombing of the Kremlin, causing Ethan Hunt and his new team to go rogue to clear the organization's name. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is rated PG-13. Next on the list is Shame, a drama starring Michael Fassbender, Carey Mulligan, and James Badge Dale. In New York City, Brandon's carefully cultivated private life, which allows him to indulge in his sexual addiction, is disrupted when his sister Sissy arrives unannounced for an indefinite stay. Shame is rated NC-17. Next up, we have Born to be Wild, a documentary starring Barut Gladicus, Daphne Sheldrick, and Morgan Freeman. This nature documentary focuses on 2 women who have adopted orphaned elephants and orangutans, living the mantra, born to be loved, born to be free. Born to be Wild is rated G. And last on the new DVD and Blu-ray slate, we have The Divide, a horror thriller starring Lauren German, Michael Bain, and Milo Ventimiglia. Survivors of a nuclear attack are grouped together for days in the basement of their apartment building, where fear and dwindling supplies wear away at their dynamic. The Divide is rated R. Next, we move along to TV on DVD, and we start things off with Frozen Planet, the complete series, starring David Attenborough. From the Emmy Award-winning team behind Planet Earth and The Blue Planet comes Frozen Planet, the epic tale of 2 disappearing wildernesses. The Arctic and the Antarctic remain the greatest wildernesses on Earth. The scale and beauty of the scenery and the sheer power of the elements are unmatched anywhere else on our planet. And against all odds, these vast, frigid environments are teeming with life. Using the latest camera technology, Frozen Planet captures unimaginable imagery above and below the ice, and follows the extraordinary fluctuations that accompany the changes of seasons in its most extreme of environments, often for the first time. Frozen Planet takes you inside the polar bear's den to witness a mother polar bear and her newborn cubs, showcases the thrilling hunting tactics employed by a pod of killer whales to launch a seal off an ice floe, uses time-lapse photography to allow you to witness the amazing underwater fauna thriving around Mount Erebus, the world's most southerly volcano, and much, much more. Using crystal-clear, high-definition cinematography, Frozen Planet will open your eyes to the remarkable colors and variety of life in this frigid environment. The next title on our list is 8 is Enough, the complete first season, starring Dick Van Patten and Betty Buckley. For fans of 70s dramas such as Family and The Waltons, here's the first season of the top-rated dramedy 8 is Enough on a 2-disc DVD. Based on the book by Thomas Braden, the series chronicled the lives of columnist Tom Bradford, his wife, and their 8 children, and their sometimes comic, sometimes dramatic exploits. Next we have Treme, the complete second season, starring Steve Zahn and Wendell Pierce. 14 months have passed since Hurricane Katrina, but residents of the Crescent City are finding it harder than ever to rebuild their lives, much less hold on to their unique cultural identity. Some have become expatriates in distant cities. The insurance checks that never arrived for homeowners were followed by the bureaucratic nightmare that was the Road Home program. And a land grab is underway as developers and disaster capitalists press their advantage. Crime and drug use are up, and corruption and graft are endemic, with civic institutions unable to counter any of it. And yet the culture of New Orleans somehow endures. The next release is Bob's Burgers, Season 1, starring H. John Benjamin, Dan Mintz, and Eugene Merman. Smart laughs and irreverent fun are always on the menu at Bob's Burgers. Bob Belcher's family-run restaurant will be a big success, if not for one thing: his family. Oldest daughter Tina can't control her raging hormones. Middle son Gene promotes the restaurant by wearing a burger costume, but forgets to take it off to pee. And little Louise tells her class that Bob's Burgers are made from human flesh. This quirky comedy will leave you hungry for more. And last on the TV on DVD slate, we have American Dad Volume 7, starring Seth MacFarlane and Wendy Shaw. It's time once again to let it all hang out with an all-new volume of animated outrageousness. From the disturbed comic minds of Mike Barker, Matt Weitzman, and Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane comes the always insane adventures of CIA operative Stan Smith and his wonderfully twisted family. In the 100th episode, Haley elopes with Jeff. Other episodes include Stan on jury duty, Steve walking in on his amorous parents, Roger dating Steve's best friend, and yet another 80 Christmas classic. Plus, there are several killers, Turkish amphetamines, and evil clones. So, you know, the usual. Next up, we'll take a look at the new releases coming to Netflix streaming for the week of April 15th to April 21st. And let me tell you, April 15th is a rather large day. It starts off with Hurricane Season, a sports drama from 2009 starring Forrest Whitaker, Isaiah Washington, and Bow Wow. A year after Hurricane Katrina, Al Collins, a high school basketball coach in Marrero, Louisiana, assembles a team of players who had previously attended 5 different schools before the disaster and leads them on the path to the state championships. Hurricane Season is rated PG-13. Next, we have Please Remove Your Shoes, a documentary from 2010 starring P. Jeffrey Black. Please Remove Your Shoes is a documentary about the U.S. government's broken promise to keep our airlines secure and the personal stories of a few people who know the truth: congressmen, air marshals, aviation security employees. It will make you angry, and flying in an airplane may never be the same again. Please Remove Your Shoes is not rated. Next up, we have The Legend of Lucy Keys, a drama from 2006 starring Julie Delpy, Justin Theroux, and Brooke Adams. An urban family leaves city life behind for the confines of rural New England. Little do they know that their new home once belonged to the Keys family, a clan who experienced a tragic loss of their daughter some 250 years ago. The Legend of Lucy Keys is rated R. Next on our list is Tara Road, a drama from 2005 starring Olivia Williams, Andy McDowell, and Johnny Brennan. 2 women, one American and one Irish, swap houses and alter the course of their lives. Tara Road is rated PG. Next up is The Dark Horse, a drama from 2008 starring Carol Roscoe, Catherine Mesny-Heltler, and Sean G. Griffin. Dana, a ballet teacher, reluctantly returns to her childhood home to discover it is about to be sold. To save the farm and the family, she must tame her mother's dangerous black horse and ride him to victory in the year's biggest dressage competition. The Dark Horse is not rated. The next title on our list is Heart of Now, a drama from 2010 starring Marion Kerr, Kelly McCracken, and Jason L. Brandt. Heart of Now concerns a young woman with a profound longing for a sense of family. Devastated by her boyfriend's sudden withdrawal from their relationship, she is whisked across a contrast of urban, natural, and emotional landscapes. She confronts the deeper issues at the very heart of her suffering and finds transcendence in a brief moment at the very heart of now. The Heart of Now is not rated. The next title is My First War, a documentary from 2008 written and directed by Yariv Moser. From the director, at the age of 28, I was drafted as a soldier in the Second Lebanese War. Instinctively, I grabbed my video camera. The movie recalls the lack of justice in this unnecessary war and the loss of valuable lives. My First War is not rated. Next up, we have Food Fight, a documentary from 2008 starring Michael Pollan, Alice Waters, and Marion Nestle. Food Fight is a fascinating look at how American agricultural policy and food culture developed in the 20th century, and how the California food movement rebelled against big agribusiness to launch the local organic food movement. Food Fight is not rated. Next, we have Daydream Believers, The Monkeys Story, a biographical drama from 2000 starring George Stanchev, L.B. Fisher, and Jeff Gaddis. Daydream Believers is the story of the Prefab Four and their fight to be taken seriously as musicians. Daydream Believers, The Monkey Story is rated PG-13. The next title is DNA, a science fiction thriller from 1997 starring Mark Dacascos, Jürgen Prochnow, and Robin McKee. An evil scientist's DNA experiment on the bones of a mysterious jungle creature brings a carnivorous beast to life. DNA is rated R. The next title on the list is Housequake, a documentary from 2009 starring Naftali Ben-David, Donna Brazile, and President George Bush. Even though the title sounds like one of those bad Saturday B movies, it's not. The Democratic Party's takeover of the House of Representatives in 2006 was more than just a good year. As Housequake illustrates, it was the result of an unprecedented high-risk strategy and a relentless effort led by the colorful, iconoclastic Congressman Rahm Emanuel. This historic campaign for change paved the way for Barack Obama's presidential victory and transformed forever the way the political races are run in America. Housequake is not rated. The next title on the list is Animal Factory, a crime drama from 2000 starring Willem Dafoe, Edward Furlong, and Danny Trejo. A young man goes to prison, and a tough older convict takes him under his wing as a mentor. Animal Factory is rated R. Next up, we have Paul Goodman Changed My Life, a biographical drama from 2011 starring Paul Goodman. Paul Goodman, whose best-selling Growing Up Absurd made him the philosopher of the New Left in the 1960s, was also a brilliant poet, an outed homosexual and family man in the 1940s, a radical pacifist, and a visionary. His ideas and stubborn integrity helped many to find a moral compass in the 1960s and can do so again today. Paul Goodman Changed My Life is not rated. Next we have Head Trauma, a horror thriller from 2006 starring Vince Mola, Jamil A.C. Mengen, and Mary Monahan. After a 20-year absence, drifter George Walker returns home to settle his grandmother's estate. As if awakening from a long dream, he finds his childhood home condemned and littered with the remnants of squatters. In the midst of trying to save his past, George falls and strikes his head, triggering an onslaught of vivid nightmares and waking visions. As the horror intrudes on George's reality, his conviction grows that someone or something is trying to kill him. Head Trauma is not rated. And to wrap up April 15th, we have 7 films from the animated Marvel library. The first is Hulk Versus from 2009, starring Mark Atchison, Michael Adamthwaite, and Steve Bloom. This is 2 stories featuring Marvel's anti-hero, the Incredible Hulk, and his encounters with the X-Man Wolverine and the god known as Thor. Hulk Versus is rated PG-13. The second of these titles is Doctor Strange from 2007, starring Bryce Johnson, Paul Nakauchi, and Kevin Michael Richardson. A crippled and embittered doctor travels to a hidden community in Tibet, where he learns of his true destiny as a sorcerer supreme of his world. Doctor Strange is rated PG-13. Next we have The Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow from 2008, starring Noah Crawford, Brenna O'Brien, and Aidan Drummond. The children of the Avengers hone their powers and go head-to-head with the very enemy responsible for their parents' demise. Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow is rated PG. The next title on the list is Planet Hulk from 2009, starring Rick D. Wasserman, Lisa Ann Bailey, and Mark Hildreth. The Incredible Hulk, ejected from Earth in a spaceship, crash lands on a planet ruled by a tyrant who forces him to fight in a coliseum against other powerful creatures. The Hulk reluctantly befriends the combatants on his team. Planet Hulk is not rated. Next up is The Invincible Iron Man from 2007, starring Mark Warden, Gwendolyn Yao, and Fred Tascori. When a cocky industrialist's efforts to raise an ancient Chinese temple leads him to be seriously wounded and captured by enemy forces, he must use his ideas for a revolutionary power armor in order to fight back as a superhero. The Invisible Iron Man is rated PG-13. Next we have Ultimate Avengers 2 from 2006, starring Justin Gross, Gray DeLille, and Michael Massey. When the Chitauri invaders are sighted in the African kingdom of Wakanda, the Avengers covertly enter the advanced nation to investigate. Ultimate Avengers 2 is rated PG-13. And the last title on the list is Thor, Tales of Asgard from 2011, starring Matthew Wolfe, Rick Gomez, and Tara Strong. The young Norse god Thor embarks on a quest with his younger brother Loki to find and recover a legendary sword. Thor, Tales of Asgard is not rated. After that long list for April 15th, I'm a little bit grateful that there are no new movies on April 16th, but my sources did indicate that there are several pages of music documentaries and live concerts. Check the show notes for the list of those titles. April 17th had 3 titles listed. The first was Bob's Burgers, Season 1, which we discussed earlier. The second is Garbo, The Spy, a documentary from 2009 starring Rupert Allison, Jose Antonio Escoriza, and Aline Griffith. Garbo the Spy is a compelling account of Juan Pujol, an extraordinary Spanish double agent during World War II who helped change the course of history. Garbo the Spy is not rated. The third title for April 17th is Fatso, a comedic drama from 1980 starring Dom DeLuise, Anne Bancroft, and Ron Carey. Dominic DeNapoli always had an eating problem. When his overweight cousin dies of a heart attack, Dominic's brother Frankie convinces him to go on a diet. Dominic soon meets a beautiful girl named Lydia, and they hit it off immediately. He must choose between his love for that girl and that of hot dogs and Chinese food. Fatso is rated PG. April 18th is A Quiet Day, but April 19th has one title, that's Roadie, a drama from 2011 starring Ron Eldard, Bobby Cannavale, and Jill Hennessy. After 20 years on the road with Blue Oyster Cult, Jimmy Testogross returns to his hometown to life with his ailing mother. Complications arise when he falls for an old friend who is now married to his longtime nemesis. Roadie is rated R. April 20th is also A Quiet Day, but there are two titles for April 21st. The first is Everything Must Go, a comedic drama from 2010 starring Will Ferrell, Rebecca Hall, and Christopher Jordan Wallace. When an alcoholic relapses, causing him to lose his wife and his job, he holds a yard sale on his front lawn to attempt to start over. A new neighbor might be the key to return to form. Everything Must Go is rated R. And the second and last title on April 21st is The Way, an adventure drama from 2010 starring Martin Sheen, Emilio Estevez, and Deborah Kara Unger. A father heads overseas to recover the body of his estranged son, who died while traveling the El Camino de Santiago, and decides to take the pilgrimage himself. The Way is rated PG-13. Next, we'll finish out the home entertainment listings with Blu-rays from the past. And the first title on the list is Buck Privates, a musical comedy from 1941 starring Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, and Lee Bowman. Abbott and Costello enlist in the Army in order to escape being hauled off to jail, and soon find themselves in boot camp. To their dismay, the company's drill instructor is none other than the cop who was all set to run them off to the Hoosgow in the first place. The boys end up having a whale of a time getting under the skin of their humorless nemesis. Buck Privates is rated approved by the Motion Picture Association of America. And the last title on the list is High Road to China, an adventure drama from 1983 starring Tom Selleck, Bess Armstrong, and Jack Weston. A biplane pilot is saddled with a spoiled industrialist daughter on a search for a missing father through Asia that eventually involves them in a struggle against a Chinese warlord. High Road to China is rated PG. I don't have any news items for you this week in the Quick Flicks, but I do want to follow up on a discussion topic that came up this weekend. Now, pardon me for a brief moment while I put on my op-ed hat. On Sunday, John posted to the Weekly Podioplex's Facebook page, quote, "All right, Beauty and the Beast couldn't do it. Star Wars couldn't do it, and now it looks like Titanic can't do it. Just because it's 3D doesn't make it any better. Looking at the early box office returns, The Three Stooges is doing better than Titanic. Now what the producers should do is release Titanic without it being in 3D. I'll bet they get a better audience. In the end, The Hunger Games will rule for a fourth week, I think." In the end, John's absolutely right in the re-release arena. Well, he was also right on those box office returns. We saw that earlier. But he's absolutely right in the re-release arena as well. The Lion King, arguably one of the most popular Disney movies of all time, ran for 35 weeks after initial release in 1994 and tallied $312.9 million. The 3D re-release generated $94.2 million in 17 weeks. Beauty and the Beast pulled in $145.8 million in 26 weeks when it hit theaters in 1991, but the 3D re-release has $47.5 million in the first 13 weeks and probably will not meet The Lion King's numbers. 1999 Star Wars Episode I The Phantom Menace made $431.1 million in 37 weeks, but that re-release has tallied only $43.3 million in 9 weeks. For reference, the original trilogy special editions in 1997 each beat that number in their 12 to 14 week runs. Titanic's initial 1997 release grossed $600.7 million in 41 weeks, and that film stayed at number 1 for 15 weeks. The 3D re-release has only made $44.7 million in 2 weeks and has never seen the number 1 spot. Each of those original releases I mentioned, with the exception of Beauty and the Beast, saw number 1 for at least 2 weeks. Whereas the only 3D re-release to hit number 1 during its run was The Lion King. While each re-release made money for their companies and probably even recouped the 3D post-conversion investment, none of them are dominating box offices. Now, my personal opinion is that 3D still remains a fad, and history has proven time and again that this format, when it pops up, it just fades away. And I think this one will fade away again. If Titanic came to theaters in 2D, I'd go see it. But those 3D re-releases don't do anything for me. So where am I going with this? I'm interested in what you think. I'm going to post a poll on the Chronic Riff Facebook page asking your opinion on the recent 3D re-releases. and I'll cover the results and any comments you leave on that poll on the May 1st edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you don't want to use that poll, that's absolutely fine, because you can also send me feedback at the normal methods, and I'll cover that as well. So, what's your opinion? Do you think those 3D re-releases work? If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, or participate in that poll, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicgriff.com and leave a note in the forums. You can leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010, or you can write to john@chronicgriff.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check in on the network on GetGlue, watch the classics on Funny or Die, or leave us a review on iTunes. You can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Rift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the theater.